Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome to Racing Here, the late edition of Racing Here at Woodbine Mohawk Park. As you know, as everybody knows, if you've stepped outside, it is scorching hot today, but we're still going to have some racing tonight. A nice little 10-pack there, a few scratches. We're going to make the most of it in what should still be an action-packed night. I'm here, of course, alongside my co-host, the Hall of Famer, Randy Waples, and we're lucky. We get to be in here, nice and cool, air-conditioned. I mean, I usually like to do a little bit of a walk around the paddock, but I don't know if that's going to be the case too much tonight. I mean, I think I like the temperature in here a lot better.
Yeah, that, and you've been studying your program so much. I don't think you need any information from out there. You're good.
I think I'm good. I've got it all up here. Like in school, I've got it all up here.
Did you? You brought it with you, did you?
I always bring it with me. Yeah. But no, it's Chad. As Chad mentioned, we didn't get an invite to the pool, I guess. Any pool parties?
Pool?
You say McNair.
Dougie.
Pool, yeah.
Yeah, no, I missed that one.
I must have missed. Maybe must have lost my number.
Yeah. It must have been with mine.
Yeah.
And then he lost them both.
There you go.
Yeah. Thanks, Doug.
Yeah.
Way to go.
All tagged under all the WEG broadcasters. Just under the same contact.
Yeah. I hope you get to wear a winter suit tonight. I hope Chris Green upstairs hides all your summer suits and gives you a nice winter one for tonight.
Wouldn't that be something?
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Be out there with a fur coat on.
No, it is really hot though. In all seriousness, it is really hot. We've seen some cancellations across, but hopefully now with the evening time it'll get a little bit cooler.
I hope so.
Certainly shouldn't be as hot as it was earlier in the day, but still it is. You can feel it. You know, when you feel that briskness when you walk outside, Randy, you don't get that today. It's likely going to be the same tomorrow, and well, I guess we'll see if we're going to push post time back an hour tomorrow too. I could very well see that being the case because
for sure.
It's not like I think the temperature is supposed to be around the same. So that's what I'd be expecting at least.
Yeah, I would have to think that they probably end up pushing it back a little bit as well. And when you come to Mohawk, one of the first things that you notice is usually we get a breeze, like a fairly strong breeze, eh? I don't think we have much of a breeze tonight, and if we do, all you're getting is just like somebody holding a hairdryer on you. It's just hot air being blown on top of you.
I'm a city boy, so when I come up here, I bring like a little light jacket or a sweat. I'm just not used to the cool breeze that we get here in the evening time. It's always warmer
downtown.
Yeah,
right?
and it's always warmer. So then when I come here, I always bring a little something because I'm just not used to it just being in a t-shirt. I don't need a jacket today.
No.
It is way too hot, but as we did mention, we might be pushing post time. Oh, I'm not saying we might be. It's just something that I kind of thought about at the top of my head. But talking about tomorrow because we do have Tuesday racing tomorrow again. So 5 nights a week of racing. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we've got a busy week ahead too. I know they drew for Thursday. We've got a couple Tompkins Gears division on Thursday night, Randy, and we'll
get all starting, John.
We'll get some more 2-year-olds back in the fold, and
2-year-old Grand Circuit to boot.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is the whole beauty of it.
Yeah, we got to see like it was our first crack at seeing some pretty good ones last year. I can remember
Mona Lishi,
exactly.
She was one of them. I think the other one there too. Go Ahead, Make My Day. Didn't Blake win both of them last year?
I can't recall off the top of my head.
I think we were calling it the Tompkins Macintosh or something. Because I'm pretty sure he might have won both, but I might be wrong too.
Makes sense because he had a big year with his rookies as well.
It's very hot out, and my mind doesn't work the same when it's hot.
Forgive us if we forget a thing or two tonight. But speaking of the other night track plays, we're going to check and see how the track is playing, and that's something I'm curious to see how it's going to play tonight, Randy. Because again, with this heat, I think early on you want to try and determine, are we going to get a big track or speed bias? Again, it's been really no different though, Randy. I mean, we talk about it. Look, everybody's winning from first, second, or third. I know we got off the pace winner in the 11th, sitting 7th at the 3/4 pole. But other than that, it's you've got to be right up there.
Yeah, that kind of also tells you too. There's not the flow isn't maybe necessarily doing what it's supposed to be out there right now as well. If you got to be first or second or even third, coming to the head of the lane. That second or third over trip just isn't working right now, But I honestly believe the biggest thing, John, that we're seeing the way that it is here right now is just simply because they have the track so fast that it's you know what I mean? Like you can win if you get up to the front and kind of get things your own sort of way, you can win easy. But to the same effect, though, too, from coming from off the pace, how do you chase somebody down if they're on a lightning fast track and they can do everything and then still come home in 27 seconds? How do you make up that 5 lengths?
Yeah, it's for me. What I always find tough is like I've worked. Sometimes you work different broadcasts and people have a difference in opinions. But for me, it's like, is it a track bias if the best horse is always maybe on paper is always on the lead, cutting the mile, getting the respect. But I also like to see how the backfield's closing. Are they able to gain? Are they even able to make up any sort of ground whatsoever? That's just the way I like to look at it.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, you can even, like, you take it one step further. There was an interview a few years ago out with Ray Remen, and he was at the Meadowlands when it very first opened, and he was a stalwart, one of the top trainer drivers we're ever going to see in our sport, Hall of Famer. And he said the big difference that he's seen in racing is the fact that when he first went to the Meadowlands, and the Meadowlands has always been an incredibly fast kind of a track, you couldn't win in front at the Meadowlands, the big track. You couldn't do it. You couldn't last there. Very, very, tough to do. Now it seems like, front end speed carries at the Meadowlands, and it's the same as here. If you're not up close, it's tough to make up that ground.
Second and third over trips aren't what they used to be.
No,
they used to be that used to be the ideal trip, and it's far from it now. It's speed, and more speed.
That's it. I mean, it's. Oh, okay. And that's the big thing with the what we were just talking about there. It's just one of those kinds of nights there that, is there going to be a lot of movement tonight?
Yeah.
Do you see it?
I'm not sure.
I don't see it.
Yeah, I don't see it either.
Me neither.
That's why I think it's a little bit tricky. I mean, you come into this card handicapping, the races a few days in advance, and you get this weather. You could get a little bit Well, we're going to see how the track is playing. And again, you have to throw your handicapping, what you had planned going to tonight, you got to throw it all out the window. It's about adapting, right? I mean, same way as driving. Things don't work out right from the word go when you leave off the gate. You got to adjust. You got to have a plan B, and I think sometimes you got to adjust and kind of see how the track is playing, see how certain races are unfolding, and then just kind of go from there.
Yeah, that's it. And the big thing is you're going to see a lot of horses come out wet tonight. I wouldn't exactly put a lot of stock into that because I think all the horses are going to come out wet tonight.
Are they going to be parading for very long, would you say?
I would say not.
No, okay.
Maybe as the night goes on, the sun comes down and, it's a little bit nicer out there, then maybe they'll stay out. But right now, I would say on and directly to the gate.
And we are going to get some more driver changes here. And as you can see on screen in the preferred two, Doug McNair aboard Sid the Kid, someone who's familiar with them. So you get a driver who's very familiar with this trotter, and he's been pretty sharp as well. Ulysses, going to be Scott Young driving in race number 3 there. So Scott Young's going to pick up the drive on Ulysses in race number 3. Sneaky live drive, I think, that he's picking up there, Randy. And race 4, Cold Snaps, going to be driven by Trevor Henry. So Trevor Henry will be driving Cold Snaps there. So I believe does that just about cover it in terms of the early pick 5 sequence? Or are we still? Oh, and Major Franco, Billy Davis Jr. So we got those driver changes there for the early pick 5, and I believe we do have a couple more here to kind of fill out race 6 and race 10. Phoenix will be driven by Scott Young this evening. So Scott Young aboard Phoenix there. And we've got one more that we can bring to you. J.R. Plant, Tignanello is going to be driven by J.R. Plant there. So, we got all the driver changes now. I believe we've got all sorted out. All but 2. But most importantly, I believe we got it all sorted out in the early pick 5, which is imperative. You want to get those... You got to get those driver changes out for the customers. I think it's imperative to everybody to know who's driving who.
And they'll be coming in all night.
Yes.
So just keep looking at that ticker.
Yeah, nothing worse than getting a driver change late in the sequence.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than that, especially if it's one that you think could make a significant difference. So, okay, we're gonna keep bringing the rest that we've got. That whatever we hear, we're gonna bring it forth. But what we're also going to do now is look over race number 1 and kickstart some replays. Watching Randy. All right, the timer's off, and it's time to look at some of these trouble trips, some of these performances from starts prior. We're going to start off here in the opener. Willow Time. We're scratched down to a field of 8. Currently the 9-5 favorite, deservedly so. We'll be picking up Bob McClure here tonight, who is familiar with Willow Time. So I don't think he's familiar with the guy. He's driven him plenty of big races, so one that certainly knows his intricacies at all. But he's going to be the focus, but there's one that you want to focus on here, and that's going to be My Retirement Dream.
Yeah, Willow Time has won me 2 out of his last 3 starts. I've used him in top all 3 of them. And he's recently gone to flip-flops up front. That was what kind of got me rolling with him. And since Maneri put flip-flops on him, he's been like a different horse, other than the 2 down where he got parked the whole mile. Still finished 4th in there, but everything else has just been spot on. But I'm looking to play against him tonight. Bobby McClure going to pick up the drive on Willow Time. And like John was saying, he's driven him many, many times. There'll be no real adjustment whatsoever to McClure for this guy. But I'm going to go My Retirement Dream. I think that he is really, really due and not even just for one win, John, but for a couple of wins. Yeah. 1 for 12 last season, 0 for 10 so far this year. I think that this is way too good of a horse for that. So this is June the 2nd. His last start was in Grand River in the Preferred 2. He come up with a real nice effort in there. First over, finished the second beat ahead, but trotted a mile in 54, and it was the first 3 quarters kind of did him in that day. In this race, he's going to end up losing a shoe, but still come up with a real nice effort in here. He's going to finish 3rd for Travis Cullen, last quarter in 28 seconds, but like I said, he couldn't do a whole lot with him, had some broken equipment to deal with in there. Comes back his next start and has a 4th here on our circuit, and then the 2nd at Grand River. I think with his gate speed, and he does have gate speed, we know that. With his gate speed, I think that if they can get him out of there, because I don't think that there's a ton of gate speed in here tonight, if they can get him out of there and somehow or another stay close to Willow Time, maybe he might be able to beat him. You know what I mean? Like, I love the way Willow Time's racing right now, but I'm not going to say that he's a free square.
No, and we have seen he is susceptible to getting beat, especially from the outside. Now, the scratch certainly helps him, but that effort that you showed on my retirement dream, it's why I went to him to start after. I think I pegged him as my spot play that evening because I thought he was in a good spot. You know, things just didn't work out. He worked out a nice trip. He was aggressively handled and didn't have much to offer. I like the effort at Grand River, though. He took a lot of air in that effort. He went toe-to-toe with another rival, and it was Dahlquist Hanover was able to benefit from a couple of rivals going toe-to-toe, and he slipped up the inside to get the job done. So,
his trip. Yeah,
his trip. So, I mean, my retirement dream, if there's ever a fitness mile that's going to benefit him coming into tonight, I think that effort at Grand River, I think he's coming to this effort razor sharp. But mind you, he is a little bit shy on wins over the last couple of years, but he's better than what we've seen from him.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I think that in some ways he's just been racing against too tough of horses, and in other ways, you know what I mean? He just hasn't been in the right spot very much. So tonight with the 4-hole scratch of the 2, moves him down into the 3. You know, Eternally Hanover got the inside, Explosion with the inside, but with the rail, I don't really see either one of them firing out of there that much. I think that if Travis can get this guy out of there, get him into a good spot, stay close to either Market Banker or Willow Time, I think he can come up with a big effort tonight. I'm going to play him on the you know, bit of a you know, hopefully Randy gets paid angle.
Yeah, it would be a good start to the early pick 5. Certainly, a lot of money's going to be on the 9-horse Willow Time, deservedly so. But my retirement dream, he could definitely put a wrench in some plans in the early pick 5. We're going to move on to race number 2, which is the Preferred 2 here. We're going to stick to the trot. We're scratched to a field of 6 here. We've got a nice little group here, though, Randy. And the morning line favorite's going to be the 2-horse Pemberton. And I mean, we touched on it last time out with Pemberton. I mean, usually when it's a JBR aboard, he kind of just, we get some of the easy trips and he finishes up really strongly. And we've seen that over his last couple of tries. He's been in some tough spots following Spartan General. Never a horse that ideally you want to be following per se.
You can't outkick him.
Well, exactly. You can't outkick him because he labors on that final turn, right?
Yeah.
So it just, but still, he trotted home in 25-4 last time out. He's sharp enough. James McDonald at the controls. He's going to get a lot of support here, deservedly so. But there's another rival I don't think we can discount, and it's one that you want to look at here, and that's the 3-horse Sid the Kid. Doug McNair reacquainted with this guy, and he's got a live one.
Yeah, I mean, I had him up on top when it was Louis. I got no issue whatsoever that it's McNair. You know, he knows the horse quite well. I think he's sitting on a, you know, coming up with a big effort. Myself, I put Pemberton in for second. I think that Pemberton is going to take a ton of support in here tonight. You know, both his last 2 starts, he showed huge ability on the end of it, and now he's going to pick up James McDonald tonight, inside post to work with. Not an overly deep group. You know, we've seen him beat much better horses than what he's facing in here tonight. So I'm going to play against him, though. I'm going to go with Sid the Kid. This is the June 9th, Preferred 2. Same class that he's racing in here tonight. James McDonald going to be doing the driving this night. He had a good trip coming out of the 2-hole, but still, nobody really had too many scares for Sid the Kid. So basically, the way I look at it, if he gets a good trip like he got with James, you know, I think he's coming right back to the same more or less bunch that he beat before. So Pemberton, I'm going to play against. Sid the Kid is going to be the way that I'm going to go. But I'm using both Benoit horses, John. Yeah. I got Ghostly Casper in for third.
Ghostly Casper just in too tough. Anytime he finds himself in that Fashion Frenzy, Osceola, and Gaines Hanover group, it's just a little bit too much for him to ask. But when he finds himself in this group, he can be competitive. And you showed that Sid the Kid replay. Who was a runner-up to him? Ghostly Casper got the trip that he needed.
Yeah.
A nice trip where he stayed on the rail throughout. throughout, finished up nicely, and that's got to be a confident effort for a horse like him. And, you know, I'm sure Ben was thrilled with an effort like that because, and I'm sure he's thrilled to be competing against, you know, this current group because I think he can compete with them. Sid the Kid, though, he might get the jump on a bunch of these rivals. We know Pemberton likes to do his work late in the mile.
Yeah.
I think that's a good pick on your end because it might be too much ground to make up late in the mile.
Well, he can chop it.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, if he does come out of there and gets to the front again, you know, if Pemberton gets a little bit too far back and Spartan General gets out in front of him, like you said, you know, it's hard to follow him around that last turn because sometimes he will gap, doesn't keep up. The other thing is that when he does start to kick to keep up, it's pretty tough to out trot a horse that can also trot a last quarter in 25 seconds. And we've seen it many times with Spartan General.
Another good separator by you there in race number 2. I think a lot of action and money and tickets will be focused in on Pemberton. I know he's going to be my all-in play. So if you can get Sid the Kid across, I think you're going to knock out a lot of money in race number 2. All right, there's our thoughts there, and we're going to skip over to race number 4, and we're going to stay to the trot. Here, now we're scratched to a field of 7. I still think this is a pretty nice, betting race. It kickstarts the early pick 6, and it's the 4th leg of this pick 5. The morning line favorite, Dahlquist Hanover. He's coming to this race pretty sharp tonight, Randy. Back-to-back wins. I know you liked him on June 9th when he was able to make that big brush move and draw away from rivals. But you and I are going to be on the same page here in race number 4, and we want to highlight an effort that we saw last time out on June 16th. Timel Riggs.
Yeah.
Never had a chance last time, but he raced good, didn't he?
He did. And then if you want to take it one further, April the 7th, he made my watch list there from the 10 hole.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had big movement on the end of it. It's only going to show 30 seconds, but that was a horrible night to be racing from off the pace. And he made my watch list then and then just disappeared.
Yeah.
And then he came back in his last start there. Timel Riggs come back with his last start, but he drew the outside. There was a couple that I liked a little bit better, but we are going to show you this replay because I agree with you, John. I think this was a really good effort. So that's 2 lines that he shows in his last 6 starts on our program. 1 out of the 10 hole that was a really good 5th. He made great grounds the whole way. This one with the 8 hole, again, big grounds gains on the end of it there. He comes back half in 56 and change, mile in 55 and 3. But you know, this class here, last week non-winners of 3,000. Now he goes into the pop-up. I'm not sure if this pop-up isn't a little cheaper than the non-winners of 3,000. So I like him. Here comes Travis with this big fella on the outside here right now. Like I said, not great movement on the end of it, but really one of the only ones with movement on the end of it. The run out looks a lot better. He's starting to catch horses there. And then, that bottom line as well made great grounds on the end of it as well. So that's the way I'm going to go.
A horse that I thought didn't peg as a main contender last time up, but the more I looked at the lines, the more I looked at the race last time, he missed like over a month in between starts. And I thought that was a good effort. And again, that was a night, Randy, where everybody was winning who was close to or on the lead. And that's what Scott Young did. He took advantage with No Angel Like Me, switched up the tactics again and said, you know what, I'm going to take matters into my own hands off a sharp effort, and I'm going to steal this race. And that's exactly what he did. So Timel Riggs, he gets bonus points for that effort, in my opinion. And I think the inside draw is going to benefit him greatly. I think he's going to be able to work out a more favorable trip, and that's why I elected to go with him on top. I think he'll get the stalking trip that he wants, and he's going to be tough to fend off if he's close.
Yeah, and the other thing too is if you go back to last year's summary, John, I mean, it was a pretty nice one. You know, I know it was last year, but still, 31 starts, 7 times he's a winner, so that's above 20%, and he puts almost 70,000. Now you look at the other horses in here. The only one that really had that bigger of a year than him was the 3-horse Cold Snaps, and she was a 3-year-old, so some of that is stake money. You know, he's an 8-year-old, so his was just straight racing, you know, and I think that he's kind of flying under the radar a little.
Just Cold Snaps, one that you mentioned as well, adding trotting hopples, got around the track a lot better in that most recent qualifier. Again, just a little bit camera shy this year, but maybe with the trotting hopple, she'll be able to get a lot cleaner, round a lot smoother here tonight. And she's one that merits a lot of respect late in the mile.
Does.
But we're gonna have to see what kind of trip she gets here tonight. But you and I hoping Timel Riggs can get the job done in race number 4. We're gonna move on to race number 5. This closes out the early pick 5. This is a really nice race.
It is,
Randy. I know this was basically the same field that we saw in that mandatory jackpot high 5.
Yeah.
In what was an action-packed race. Dragon on the Beach installed as the morning line favorite at 5-2. He was able to trip out and just hung on.
Yeah.
He was able to fend off a hard charging order once ago. But I think you could go so many different directions. I honestly think he's a favorite that's beatable. here in this spot. What say you?
I agree. I mean, I think he's a favorite that's beatable, but I still used him in my pick 5 because I do think, I mean,
he merits respect.
Right.
Yeah.
But I agree with you because until we had the scratch of, in the 5th race, I'm singling Dragon on the Beach in here. But I agree with you. I think that it can go a million different ways in this race. But what I kind of like him was that he finally gets a better post position, number one. Last week he's parked every step of the mile. This week he's going to move into the 2-hole. I think he can come up with a little bit of a better trip, and hopefully he can duplicate what he has been doing. So let's take a look at last week. Like I said, he spent the entire journey on the outside, starts to come 3 wide, with a stalled the horse Travis was driving was just completely stalled, so James wheels him 3 deep. And at this point, you could even say that maybe he might even be a little bit of 3.5 to 4 wide around that turn. And again, one of the only horses that has any go on the end of it. And what I like about him is that James is not chasing him here. He's doing this on his own. Each week he gets a little bit stronger. Now, the one horse cuts loose here quick, but I think a lot of that was just James kind of, I'm not going to say showboating, but I think he more or less had the race won, shut him down, and then Jason Bartlett kind of surprises him on the inside with Order 1 to go, who you liked him quite a bit that night, Order 1 to go. So he's a live kind of a horse, but I think that, you take Order 1 to go out of that race, he looks like he's the best in here. And that's with a 3rd over trip, John. The trip that we've seen hasn't been working. You know what I mean? And he can get closer. He can race closer if he wants to race him closer. So Dragon on the Beach, the way I'm going to go in this last leg.
We never know what we're going to expect from him. We've seen him kind of throwing some clunkers, but same group. Good draw to work with. I mean, he can get a stalking trip again that we saw. Again, never saw a set of pylons and was still able to finish up strong on the end of it. Lots of horses in this race, though, coming off pretty strong efforts. Dirty Little Piglet going a 49 and 2 mile last time out, a live drive that Jody's going to pick up. Win Me Back, he was on the speed mission in that same race with Dragon on the Beach, chopping out some pretty quick panels. And Halmac Victor, I think he's going to enjoy working out having a better draw here tonight. We saw him on that replay. He paced home pretty well in that effort too. And Beastoni I'm intrigued with as well, going back to the Kyle Fellows barn. We saw that a few lines down, he was a winner back at this barn. So I think this is a great race to close out the pick 5. And we never even mentioned Kyle's Art, who's been racing well when Trevor Henry's been paired up and just racing well as a whole. So I like that you're taking a stand there. I found this to be a really tough betting race. But so these are the races I like in a pick 5 sequence because you can either play against a favorite, single him, or you can use a few and hope to get lucky in some other legs. But a good way to close out this early pick 5, I'd say.
To me, it's a tough ask in this one because, like you said, there's just so many different ways that they can go. But right now, it seems like Dragon on the Beach, a lot of things are pointing his direction.
I would say so as well off that effort especially. All right, we're going to move on to race number 6, and that kickstarts the late pick 5 here in this spot. We've got a field of 8. Please note again the driver change. Scott Young will be aboard Phoenix because of no Louis Watt tonight. A morning line favorite is going to be the 8-horse Tactical Strike. How good was that effort last time? Well, we touched on the fact that when this one kind of, we saw her switching to the pace in that Umbro Flight elimination. She did it a little bit when she came out on Post Parade last time out. There's another rival here, Randy, that raced super last time out. He just had way too much ground to make up. Again, on a night where you needed to be close. That's the rail horse, R. Peaky Blinders. How good was his effort?
Oh, huge. I think Tactical Strike and R. Peaky Blinders, both of them were absolutely killer. In their last start. Quebec Hanover again. You at this point you're thinking to yourself, no one's going to be able to touch him. He's got everybody gassed. But number one, the first one you start to see coming is Bobby on the outside with Tactical Strike. Desiree Jones has got this one. She's right on her game in this race. But Tyler Borth also on the outside with our Peaky Blinders. Big movement from him as well. So Quebec, or not Quebec, the other horse there. Quebec Hanover ends up getting the job done by a nose. 2 very, very live horses coming on the end of it. And I like our Peaky Blinders, got that one in for second. Tactical Strike, love the way that she raced, got her in for third. I myself am going to go Robertson DE in this race. He's only had a couple of starts back, first one being the 9-hole, but now he's got the 5-hole to work with. I don't think he's a horse that needs a lot of action to get into a good groove. because when he's on his game, he does a lot of his racing right on the end of the mile, and I'm talking deep into the lane, usually not around the top turn. Deep into the stretch, he'll find a gear and can fly forward. If he does it tonight and falls short, you'll never get a price on him next week. No shot. So to me, this is about one of the only times that you're really going to get a good price on him in a class like this, because like I said, in a couple of weeks in non-winners of 9,000, if he's back on his A game, you're looking at 3 to 5, 2 to 5.
Sneaky good effort last time out. Likely needed that start, having not raced since February. So
and Chris gets along so good with this horse. I think he gets along with this horse better than anybody that I've seen drive him so far. He's just perfect with this guy.
And I like that you highlighted the replay on our Peaky Blinders as well. He's just been super unlucky. Obviously the two lines ago on June 9th, it looked like he was going to make a major bid, and then it was a bit of an interference break. You could see all those rivals when he was fanning wide, they jammed up. Mm-hmm. He looked like he was going to get a big piece just by the way he was moving, and things didn't work out there. But I think this is a great race to kick off the late pick 5 as well. Just want to note, in regards to the early pick 5, we are going to have a scratch in race 5. The 10 horse is out. The 10 horse will be a judge's weather scratch. So we're scratched down to a field of 9 in race number 5 to close out that early pick 5. Keep you posted if we hear anything else along the way. But like we said, race 6, great way to start off the early pick 5. In a way, I think you could go. We never even touched on PL Rainbow Dash.
I was just going to ask you, did you use her?
I used her underneath, but again,
I didn't even use her, and I love the way she's racing and picking up James.
Can't fault Bobby for going tactical strike with the way she raced, with the class that I think that she possesses here. Looking forward to that one. We're going to move on to race number 7, and this is a race I'm looking forward to as well. The OSS Gold for 3-year-old trotting colts. We saw some golds on Saturday and Friday as well. So this could be maybe the wide open division that we're looking for. We thought it might be with the trotting fillies, but then Mona Lee, she kind of re-cemented herself as the one to beat. But there's a newcomer in town, Randy, Richie Rich, who kind of elevated himself, and he's been razor sharp this year. He tried the golds 2 starts back and was a dominant winner. And he got the job done in an overnight last time out, and you'd like to highlight that effort as well.
Yeah, I actually played against him in that his last victory there in the non-winners of 3. I can't remember where I went, but I did not go Richie Rich. I was playing against him, and he was a winner in there as well. So again, I jumped on the bandwagon for Richie Rich. His form is just dead on good right now. Mm-hmm. Todd's doing a great job with him, and he always has him in a good spot. Obviously, his sister Mary, has him right on his game right now. So Richie Rich is the way that I'm going to go in here. But, I find it interesting. I threw Galen Urso in for second, and the biggest reason why I used him for second, John, is because he's got the 9 hole. I figure that McNair there's no way Dougie's going to slip this guy to the back going for $140. And if he moves him out of there and contests him in this race, he could also come up with a pretty big effort. I think that sometimes, people forget the horse that, more or less got us to this situation as a 2 and early starts as a 3-year-old, and that is Galen Urso. So I know he made a break in the final of the Good Times. It looked like he was going to be in a good spot there. Dougie got him away in a good spot and ended up, like I said, making a break towards the end of it. Now he's got the 9 hole, but he's got good gate speed, and he's got a guy that's driving him tonight that he can work out, magical little trips with these kinds of horses. So I think that Galen Urso also is going to be quite dangerous in here, but Richie Rich is the way I'm going.
And we've seen inside draws from Richie Rich in the past. It seems that he can do it any which way. When he draws the 10 hole, he leaves out of there and is able to make speed and carry it throughout. He draws the rail. He's able to work out, off the pace trips. So we've seen versatility from this colt, and he's just been a really nice story early on this year, and he's really shaped out to be a really nice trotter for them. So this is what I'm looking forward to if he can kind of keep the ball rolling. But we never even touched on P.L. Spencer, who was a nice winner in his most recent gold division, a scratch sick in that Good Times final, and LMC Wagon Wheel. I thought he was solid 4th in that Good Times final. That was a big mile. I think he's been racing well. This is a pretty good group that we've got here tonight.
Really evenly matched, and of all the ones that I got Spencer in for 3rd, but LMC Wagon Wheel, he's the one that to me is the big mystery factor right now, because he's a big, strong horse, and he's just each week he gets stronger and stronger. So be interesting to see where this ride's going to go.
I wonder if we're going to see speed from him tonight, because we know he can leave, and we haven't seen too much of that early on. We've seen more conservative approaches, but he's been finishing off his miles really well. I wonder if this is the day where Tyler kind of decides to put a little bit of a wrinkle and put him in play tonight and see, because listen, he's been finishing off his miles really well. I think that this is a horse who's sitting on a good effort, and it could be tonight.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I mean, from the 6 to the 9, I'm using 3 of those horses, and none of them can afford to go to the back and have Richie Rich get control and things his way up front, because you're not going to get to him.
All right, there's our thoughts. Race number 7. Looking forward to that OSS Gold there for 3-year-old trotting colts. We're going to move on to the next race, race number 8. We're going to switch to the pace here. We've got a field of 7. I think all eyes are going to be on the 6-horse Pacino Hanover. I know Which Way to the Beach installed as the morning line favorite at 2-1. I'm pretty confident that the Jody Cullen trainee is going to be the favorite here in this spot, I'd say. But the morning line favorite, Which Way to the Beach, he's coming off a pretty good effort. And this is a horse, while he only has 2 wins and 15 tries this year, Randy, he's razor sharp.
He is, but I mean, of those 15 tries, I'll bet you a dozen of them were at the top class.
Yeah.
You know, he's kind of been stuck up there racing against the very best ones. He's taken a drop down to non-winners of 9,000. To me, that's an instant like right there. But there's a couple of Bearcats coming with him. Nazaire right beside him. You know, that form of his is probably going to start to come back around once he gets away from those optional 70,000 claimers. Pacino Hanover is going to be live in here tonight. And, you know, it's really hard any time to leave American history off your ticket. You know, so this is a really, really rugged kind of a bunch. But I'm going to go Which Way to the Beach. I thought that this was a good effort. Obviously, no, he was not going to get to Write Me a Rose, but he stayed with him. Yep. Really one of the only horses that had any kind of ground, you know, gains on the end of it there. Has the rail to work with. I think that Travis, you know, that trip that he gave him last week is only going to help him. He didn't over race him in any way, you know, so he should come out of that race good to go. And if he gets another easy, you know, kind of a easy schmoozy kind of a trip, he might respond pretty good tonight. So Which Way to the Beach is going to be my way tonight. Travis Henry, I'm looking at him having a big night tonight. At least a couple of wins on my program.
He's got some live drives. I didn't peg him as a top player here. I think I have him listed for 3rd. I just respect Pacino Hanover. In American history, the biggest wild card. You know, he's back on a regular rotation, but he hasn't been sharp.
No.
I mean, just hasn't been racing to the horse that we know
but he's missed a lot of time.
But he's missed a lot of time. So maybe a bounce back effort. Bob McClure going to pick up that drive here with no Louis Waugh. But a race with some question marks, but a race that has some sharp rivals as well. We're going to move on to race number 9. We're going to go back to the trot here. We're scratched down to a field of 7. Morning line favorite Sparks Fly. Randy, he should really enjoy the group that he's going to take on tonight. I went Waterfall's direction, just hoping maybe he could bounce back, but he's scratched. I am going to inherit Sparks Fly as a top selection. There's a couple other horses who have been racing sharp as well. And I tell you one thing, I know the most recent line maybe doesn't look the most appealing on paper, but Crystal Baller, he's one that could be sitting on a sharp effort tonight.
That's where I'm going. I'm going to try to beat Sparks Fly. I agree with you. I think Sparks Fly is going to be taking the bulk of the wagering. I mean, that 51 mile on his last one, that one really kind of stands out, you know, that he was able to trot that quick. So he's going to be tough in here. I got him in for 2nd, but Crystal Baller, this is 2 down. This is his June the 9th start, non-winners of 6,000. You know, big leave out of there, 27-1. You know, gets a good trip, loses a little bit of ground, a little bit of a shuffle around the top half, but then comes back with a vengeance on the end of it. Once Trevor kind of shakes him loose here at the head of the lane, he's really one of the only horse that's going to show big gains. His next start, 10-hole, just kind of goes to the back. Again, though, trots a big back half in 55 and change, big last 3 quarters. You know, good effort there at the odds of 50-1 racing against the Quebec Hanover. So now he's going to drop down against this bunch, and I'm going to give him a try. You know, Sparks Fly, if Eddie decides to race him from off, I think that I got him covered that way. And if he decides to try to leave with Sparks Fly, I think that Trevor can get Crystal Baller away on his back and hopefully not give up as much ground as his last couple of starts, and maybe he might be able to get the job done.
I think Sparks Fly is going to be leaving from his where he's drawing tonight. We've seen some early gate speed from him against tougher company, outside draws. I think this is the best spot he's kind of taken on so far, the easiest group that he's taken on. But I'll tell you what, he's not the most consistent too. He does get a little bit leg weary late. And to your point, I think Crystal Baller, he might be the livest one late in the mile tonight.
He could be, you know, big solid horse. And, you know, we've seen him, you know, jump up with big wins before. And he's a horse that deserves a mark much better than 55-1. One other quick thing I'd say about Sparks Fly as well. You know, when he on May the 26th, Eddie out of the blue just roaded this guy, raced him real hard on the front end. It didn't work out to him, but in my opinion, since he's done that, that's when the horse has really started to come back around. His next start after that line, he trots a back quarter in 26-4. You know, now he's trotted in 51. Every once in a while, I think that, you know, they need to be tired out.
Yep. All right. So there's our thoughts there and some good replays that I think that we showed ahead of tonight's 10 pack. But it's Monday and we got to do some housekeeping.
Who used in the 10th, John?
My brain just shut off now. And it's the heat. I don't even remember I'm using in the 10th. So
you're not going to use the one horse. I thought you'd be all over him.
See, went way over my head.
There you go.
It's too hot. All right. Top 4 circuit drivers here. Louis-Philippe Bois not here tonight, but he had a big week, and that's just the stats here.
Yeah,
not including what he did at the Meadowlands with a couple of big wins, and James McDonald always on that list, it seems. Jody Jamieson, big win for a big weekend, or Saturday, I should say, for him and Carl Jamieson, sweeping the grassroots, or getting a couple of grassroots tries, and Doug McNair, 4 wins. Missed half the card on Saturday when he was guiding the last Martini to a victory at the Vernon Downs, but just the usual suspects up there, it seems. And as far as the trainers are concerned,
a bit of a flop.
Dave Maneri and Jody Cullen, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dave might have sent out winners over his last 4 starters, potentially. I think Dave's had a pretty good go of it. 6 wins last week, 46.2 win percentage. Jody Cullen, big night on Saturday night. They had a big night.
Elliot Moose, codename Cigar Box.
And they had
2-star of the card.
Control the Power.
Control the Power.
Big night for them. And Kyle Fellows on the list as well. Drawing a blank on significant other's name, but they did welcome a baby girl, I believe, last night. So congratulations to them. A big moment for them, and always nice.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Great family.
And Greg McNair as well, topping it off with a couple wins last week as well, hoping to add a gold here this evening as well. All right, and there's a look at the stats, Randy, and always touching on every Monday, the top drivers, the top trainers of the past week, but we also got to look at some other stuff. We got to talk some handicapping too. We got to talk some pick 5, some early pick 5, and I'm going to go too deep here in the opener. Willow Time, if I was playing, I'd probably be pressing on Willow Time mostly because I do think Willow Time is going to be tough to beat, but I want to give some respect to Mr. Magic. I thought that was a good effort last time out. I'm all in on Pemberton. I think Pemberton's one that I'm going to be all in on tonight. Nighttime Dancer, I thought that was a sneaky good effort in race 3, Randy, over at the B track. When he's on his game, he's really competitive against this group, but I do fear your top selection, Ulysses, and Rockabilly Rebel. How good was he at this level 2 starts back? I think he's one that merits a lot of respect too. Race 4, I'm with you. Timel Riggs, hoping he can get it done. Dahlquist Hanover's been racing too well for me to leave off the ticket. And I'm just going to go 3 deep in race number 5. I'm going to go Dragon on the Beach. I will go Win Me Back and Dirty Little Piglet. I think Win Me Back, I mean, you mentioned about horses maybe changing their tactics. I think he needed a race like that where he just kind of, JD gunned him out of there at a big number. And he hung on a long way. He got picked off by 2 horses who just had liver legs late in the mile, but I think that effort's going to bode well for him coming into tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they need that. And I mean, since his 2 qualifiers, he's had a 3-hole where he went to the back, got interfered with, didn't do much there, Win Me Back. Next start, 10-hole.
Yep.
Same sort of thing. So, yeah, he needed that last week. He needed to get engaged and get tired. And, if JD decides to either leave with him and give him a helmet, I think he's going to come up with a bigger effort.
And here's your ticket. You're taking the glaring race is race 3. You're taking a big stand with Ulysses here. A couple of troubled trips over at Grand River. I mean, he just had some tough trips. And this is a horse you and I both know. He can put forth a good effort. And we're going to see 3rd start for Julie Walker. And I tell you what, this is you're going to get rewarded if this guy gets across, and you're going to knock out a lot of live money, I'd say.
Yeah, and I mean, he's raced good on our circuit before.
Yep.
And I mean, look at what he's done last year. He had a mark of 50-4 at Scioto, 114, and I just like him. He's a big, solid son of Racing Hill. So, yeah, he's going to be my single in there. And in race 1, I'm going to go 4, 9, 10 using Willow Time. Ricky Resolve from the outside, my retirement dream in there. The 2 race, I'm just going to go 2 deep there. Pemberton, Sid the Kid, the single in race 3. And then in race 4, I go pretty deep in here, John. I go 5 numbers.
Okay.
With that time, all Riggs is going to be my top play. And then back to single in race number 5, and that's going to be Dragon on the Beach.
You get that single across in race 3, and you get to race number 5, you're going to look at a pretty good payout, I'd say.
Yeah, I would think.
All right. Nice structure there. And good luck. Hopefully we
You
can.
too. Hopefully one of us gets it
I'm going to
anyway.
try. I'm going to try. Well, we're excited about tonight, but we're also excited again, as we touched on at the top of the show. Tuesdays are back. More racing. Can never complain about more racing. I know we're not the ones maybe who have to do the day-to-day and the grind or whatever, but as fans, we just love being able to kind of sit back, chop it up, and watch the races as well. So I'm just looking forward, like I said, to the 2-year-old. So we are going to get live racing tomorrow, June 24th, our first Tuesday, and I think it goes all the way up to October. Is it early October, I believe?
I'm not 100% sure, but I do know one thing. With the Tuesday racing, you just saying, we had Tuesdays off before. I was glued to running aces every Tuesday.
Really, eh?
Yeah. I love watching the racing from out there. So I'll be working on the Tuesday nights or whatever. But yeah, if you're going to sit at home and watch it, you might as well be here and watch great racing.
Sports season for me is kind of dwindled down now. There's just baseball. It's the off season for football, NBA, NHL. So it's a perfect time for Tuesday racing. NBA finals just wrapped up last night.
Jays fan?
Jays fan, big Jays. They're playing well. Hopefully they can keep the ball rolling there. All right, going to go to our plays of the night here. And the Hall of Famer, I believe you are always up first. All right, so let's get the ball rolling here when the graphic pops up.
Okay,
there it
so
is.
the worth a look is going to be in race number 3, and that's going to be Ulysses, looking for a bit of a number on him. Beat the Favorite comes along in race number 4. That's going to be Time All Rigs. Waples, or All In, is going to be race 8, which is going to be Which Way to the Beach. And my Waples watch, Crystal Baller, in race number 9.
Really like those selections tonight. I think all of them,
What
could
do
be
you got?
separators. All in
all
Pemberton.
good,
Nothing sneaky there. One that I think's got a big chance, but everybody's going to agree. I think there based on the betting board. Nighttime Dancer, my best bet tonight. I think this horse. So when he's on his game, he's capable. Worth a look. Win me back. Good effort last time out. I think that he could be sharper. Spot play. Tignanello. I think that was a good effort last time out. You're getting J.R. Plan aboard. He never saw a set of pylon, just like Dragon on the Beach, second tier last time out. Nose back on the gate. You know I love that.
Yeah, and you're All In.
Pemberton
there. Do you think he's going to go off his favorite?
I think he will.
You do?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
good.
I think he will be the favorite there. Some other
Ploucher
selections.
going PL Spencer. Like
Ploucher
that.
going PL Spencer as a spot play. Don't mind that whatsoever. Sparks Fly. It's time. Good chance of that. Garnet and I sharing the same spot play in the finale, so I'm hoping Garnet can get that one across as well. All right, we're delayed a little bit. No problem. We still got a nice 10-pack that we're going to take you through tonight. Best of luck to everybody. Let's have a night.
Yes, let's have a night. I got a feeling it's going to be a hot night, John.
I would say that's the best bet of the card.